Star date. Something, 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 something. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. It is smoky as heck. I live in southeastern Washington and Spokane's on fire. I'm getting ready to drive through a fire, going to a friend's wedding south of Mount Hood. And visibility is poor. Usually you can see down the valley. I don't know if you guys can see it all from the back window, but so I figured I'd give my 2 cents on Spider-Man Brand New Day. So this is a review of Spider-Man Brand New Day. I can't give you a picture, and I'm not going to try to recreate any clips on this video, but really great movie. And the way that they had to make the movie and the way that the plot is going is kind of like taking its own story, right? Because they had to create a world where nobody knows Peter because of the last movie. And it creates a scenario that is mirroring the real world of how people have to deal with relationships. Because the healthiest relationship, and if you think about this, it's not super healthy to feel the need of attachment, but to love unconditionally, regardless of somebody else's choices. And Peter's faced with that, and they do a really great job in this movie of how, Zendaya, who plays his girlfriend, not knowing him, forgetting him, not knowing that who he is, even when so this is spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I can't go through the movie without giving spoilers, without describing what the movie's about and the kind of the message it's sending and how it's mirroring the public right now. And it mirrors it in different ways. And there's 3 or 4 major ways in which it's mirroring what's going on in the group collective. And so I want to talk about it. But I got to spoil the movie. I can't. So if you haven't seen the movie, don't watch this video. Go watch the movie, and then maybe I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments, if you watch this video. Even when he reveals himself, because he does later, close to the end of the movie, he tells her, and she finds his letter because he writes her a letter of what happened to him, and she wants to see his face, so he takes his mask off, and then after he kisses her, she basically tells him, well, I'm sorry, I think whatever you did, you had to do to feel like you protected that person, but I don't know you. And so in the act of him, much of the movie is the pain of letting go. And we go through the pain of letting go in so many different ways, whether it could be addictions, it could be, things that people, when we have to let people go, and we have friends and family that pass away. We never really die, we just change form. But you have to let go of old things in order to bring in new things, and it's part of life. If everything stayed the same, then there would be no life. You can't have life without change, because it's living. It has to keep dying over and over in order to stay alive. Otherwise, it's dead, literally. And there's nothing that's dead. Everything's alive. But so Peter goes through this, and that letting go allows him to start transforming. He starts exhibiting more arachnid hormones, and you kind of see clips of that in the trailer, and it kind of mirrors that process where he's going through these emotional changes. He's having a hard time letting go of, he just wants his friends back, and but he had to come to the real truth there at the end that he will have to if he wants a relationship with with MJ, then he's got to create one. Because all the memories that he has, she doesn't have. She doesn't know who he is. And so that emotional process is bringing out his arachnid changes, where he's actually becoming more powerful. But he has to, at first he tries fighting it, and he fights it, and as soon as he lets go and stops fighting it, then he's able to, as soon as he accepts that part of himself, it becomes much more powerful, and it no longer has power over him as well, because that was part of the problem, is the changes he was going through was having power over him, and because he was trying to fight it. He was actively trying to fight it, so it had power over him. Very powerful message there that a lot of people you may or may not have picked up. So another really powerful message was Jean Grey, the story of Jean Grey, and this is kind of a reoccurring theme in Marvel, but they really doubled down in this one. And there was some obvious therapeutic content, because there's a lot of people that are going through this right now, and I am not any different than anybody else. When you feel different, and it shows a scene with him and his Aunt May, and how she tells him, she says, no matter how powerful you become, that you don't ever want to feel alone, because if you feel alone, then there's really not anything worth anything. That you're never alone. You always have me. And he becomes the stabilizing figure for Jean Grey, because Jean Grey obviously feels hyper alone. Nobody's like her. She can take over bodies, and she grows more powerful in the movie, where she can do things that, like, if you guys know Jean Grey in the comics, the last Jean Grey that we had in the X-Men, she's the most powerful mutant in the Marvel Universe. I mean, she can change matter, read everyone's thoughts, control people's minds. It doesn't get much more powerful than that. And so she feels alone, and she feels like, because everybody's attacking her, because they're afraid of her. And people have a tendency to attack things that they're afraid of. And because Peter shows that he's not afraid of her, and that he's just trying to get to her, basically show her how much he cares about her, and that he's there for her no matter what happens. And then he shows that at the end, where he takes a bullet for her. It grounds out Jean Grey. She goes off and she stops it, trying to possess people and things like that. Really powerful film. Movies aren't coincidence. When movies come out, they always tell a story, and it usually is relatable. And something, told me to go watch the Spider-Man movie. My son is helping with the fire in the north part of the state. His grandparents had a piece of property where they had some damage done to their property. It was a huge fire. I don't know how extensive the damage was, but he needed to go help his grandfather. And so I went and watched the Spider-Man movie, and it was an amazing movie, really good movie, an amazing message. You're never alone. It doesn't matter how weird you feel, and a lot of times you find out that everybody's just as weird as you are. But a lot of times people aren't as vulnerable. They don't like to tell the vulnerable parts of themselves. And I guess I can tell the vulnerable parts of myself for maybe some of the listeners. I've always had a really good feeling for what's going on around me. And it's always been really easy for me to explain why things happen. And, we have a tendency to try to control something externally. And people do that out of fear, because they want something stable. So they want to try and control it. Because your fear of the unknown, and fear of death is the only thing that drives that desire to control. And letting go of that can be one of the most difficult things. Because even like trying to create a business, do I want to create a business just to try and control how much income I'm getting, to try and create some kind of idea of stability? But the reality is the thing that makes us stable is our own ability to love one another and receive, and being open to receive, and our ability to express our needs and say, look, I love you, but I need you to do this for me. I can't do it all. Because it's easy to overextend ourselves. Believe me, I know. I live with 2 old men who don't want to do anything for themselves. Absolutely nothing. And they never did. I mean, you can tell your stories, but it's not important. What is important is taking time for yourself. And this week for me is, for me personally, to get some time for myself and relax with some friends that I haven't seen in a long time. So hopefully it's not too smoky. And I hope you guys are doing something like that as well sometime during this summer. Spend some time with family, friends. Just, nobody has to need you to do something. And if they do, maybe just a little bit during the day, and you can relax and just think about the bigger picture and how everything is dying. And a lot of times things burn down, like even here in Washington and Oregon and Idaho, where all these fires are at. Sometimes nature does this intentionally to burn down things that we've grown so attached to, because those things come to own us in the end, and it drives us apart. It keeps us from spending time together and creating together, receiving together, and building a more cohesive community that knows how to come together regardless of what happens. And that lesson's learned over and over and over, that there's always help for you available when something happens. And it's not because of money, it's because we love one another. Love you guys. Hope this helped somebody. Or if you haven't seen Spider-Man yet, go see Spider-Man. It's a great movie. One of the best Marvel movies, I believe, that I've ever seen. A lot of them have a really good message, but this movie in particular expresses the messages of transformation and love better than any Marvel movie I have ever seen, or any movie, period. I can't think of another movie. I mean, if I really sat down and thought about it, I could probably find something, but maybe Finding Nemo or something. There's so many movies about transformation and how people find out what is important through transformation. But yeah, anyway, you guys understand what I'm saying. Love you. Have a great day, and I'll catch you next week.